enjoy like teaching one person something really hard. That's super good.
At what age was it, like that age of the kids you saw today where you were kind of like, oh, I'm proficient at this, so it's kind of like you can see who's already kind of there too? Or
Well, it's so much of a social game when you're doing a camp, because then all the kids are asking questions. Where are you from? Where did you start skating? Have you been in the Olympics? You know, and it's just like this big, like, it's just a big social event more than it is a skateboarding thing. You know, trying to keep track of 20 heads and, you know, tell one person to put their foot there and then answer this kid, have you ever met Tony Hawk? And then some girls trying to learn how to drop in. It's just chaos.
Yeah. I've worked in like various camp settings and it's chaos. Fun. But yeah, it's not really like you're going to have unless you have like a one-on-one interaction, it can be a little bit like herding cats, but it's fun too.
That's where I'm at. I like the one-on-one, in-depth, let's figure something out.
Oh, sorry, that cushion wasn't down all the way.
It is now.
It is now. Mitchie Brusco, welcome to Nick's Vancast.
Thank you for having me.
Down here in Oceanside.
Mm-hmm.
And I said this on my last episode, it's going to have to just be a segment talking about where I sleep the night before because, like I said in the last episode, I always pick the worst places to park. This time was by the train tracks, so that was loud. Last time it was kids partying, so yeah, but Oceanside, beautiful place down here in San Diego, right?
You drove, what, from LA at like midnight last night?
Yeah, I got in about that time.
Parked by the train track?
Yeah,
It's tough, man.
Woke up, went for a jog down to the pier.
Okay.
Down there by Wisconsin, I guess, and there's like a or something.
I jog the same spot. So
oh, yeah.
You're in the money.
Yeah. I want to give people a quick backstory, kind of how we got connected, because I think this is great.
It's hilarious.
But I guess we're both fans of this TikTok creator, comedian. I don't know. How would you describe?
Dry humor, man. That's all I know.
Yeah. Lexi Grantham. Shout out Lexi Grantham.
Shout out Lexi. Thank you for connecting Nick and I.
Yeah. So Lexi's cool on TikTok. We'll have to link that or something. But does these multiple characters. She has interesting, funny, weird, random, arbitrary dialogue with herself, playing all these characters. And I came across this one time on TikTok, and I was super bored one night, and I had a bunch of free time. So I'm like, I'm gonna just start like doing funny photoshops of these videos. And I made this Instagram page, Lady Grantham Fan Club, and tagged her in it, and she thought it was really funny. And then as people started like following, I'm like checking out who's following, who are the fans too who find this funny. And I'm like, Mitchie Brusco, this guy is a skateboarder. This is really cool. Reached out, and now we're in a van in San Diego because of this comedian in Utah.
And you had what, like a couple hundred followers, maybe, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how it's doing now. The stupidest photoshops.
Hey, those are great.
and the funny thing is her videos are super stuck in my head. Like I went to a grand opening for one of the ramps got resurfaced in town, and they were talking about doing a ribbon cutting. And I'm just like, are they gonna apologize? And it's stuck in my head. And I show all my friends, Tyler and I, my trainer. I mean, we're a bit like cult Lady Grantham. Yeah, I think it's hilarious.
Oh, everybody needs to check them out now for sure. The ribbon cutting, that could be somebody's ribbon or something. She sent me a shirt because she does merch now where she puts like the one-liners on T-shirts. And she sent me a shirt. It said her joke, 65 different animal species laugh, and they could be laughing at you or me.
Have you ever felt personally attacked by a bear?
Oh, yeah, I did a Revenant Photoshop for that. Like, where did she come up with this? It's brilliant.
Oh, man.
So shout out,
so
Lexi.
Good. Yeah.
Lexi, I think she's going to come on eventually.
Oh, she has to.
I really want her to. She's out in Utah, though, and I really want to do... I was thinking about doing virtual Vancast, but there's something about just, like, hanging out in person. Maybe I'll have to get out to Utah.
All my episodes have been in person, and I like it like that. I tried to do one over Zoom, and the internet of the entire office building went out 20 minutes in, and I was just like, this is a sign. It's never happened. It hasn't happened since.
Yeah.
We'll keep it.
Just the audio quality is better, but even just the interpersonal connection when you're there in the studio. So this is great. I bought this, software to do virtual podcasts. I haven't used it yet, so I'm like, that was kind of a waste. But either way, I'm glad we're doing it this way.
Well, you shake hands, you say hi, you coordinate a lot better, you show up. it feels different than, one thing that surprised me about the Zoom podcast that I tried to do, as soon as their face pops up, you're like, hey, they don't know if you're recording yet. They don't know what's going on. It's very like Q&A. It's like, I'm not very good at this.
Yeah. Now I'm down here too, kind of like see the area where you're at, talk a little bit before what you're up to. But yeah, this is great. So thanks for coming on.
No problem.
Like I said, among other things, rather than just skateboarding, you're like a prolific podcaster too. I was listening to it on the way down here as well.
Cool.
And it's like you just have this knack for just talking and conveying ideas. It's phenomenal. So I want to get into that too. But so you said originally from Washington though, not San Diego.
About 30 minutes north of Seattle, Kirkland area, home of the Costco.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The original Costco.
Yeah, grew up there. And I didn't move down to California till I was 13 or 14.
Skateboarding though, did you start skateboarding up in Washington? I'm sure there's a backstory.
So skating's the reason I moved down here.
Oh.
So I started when I was 3 up in Washington. And just, obviously it's casual at 3, but by the time I was like 6 or 7, I really liked competing. I really was the one of the youngest guys to start learning how to skate vert at the time, which is those big half pipes. And this is like pre-social media and, basically pre-iPhone, I think even. And so once word kind of got around with some of the pros that I could drop in and do airs at 8 years old or something, when they'd come to town to do like a show or someone would come skate, one of like the big vert competitors, they'd come to like my skate park, or they invite me to do the demo with them in Seattle, or, they're building a pop-up ramp in Portland, which was like, maybe 2 hours away, 3-hour drive over there. I'd be in the show, I'd be in the demo, and then, time just flies. And by the time I was 12, I was good enough to start competing in the AM circuit to try to qualify through. And man, I qualified right through when I was like 13. I got on the AM circuit and just like won the 5 events that year, and then got into the pro contest, and then got into finals, and then that was that. I moved to California and just was like, let's try this out. Yeah.
Wow. Wait, so what brought you to like Oceanside specifically then?
Well, there's a couple ramps around here. Tony Hawk has a ramp in Carlsbad, a private one that is in a warehouse, hidden in Vista, runs on business hours. Then there was one in Encinitas that was called, it was just the Encinitas YMCA, but huge vert ramp you could see from the freeway. And at that time, all the biggest skaters were practicing there, skating there all the time. Like Tony Hawk, Shaun White, Buck Elastic, Bob Burnquist, like these names that, if you played Tony Hawk Pro Skater, you'd know their names. If you, obviously Shaun White and things like that. That was just Encinitas in Carlsbad. And I was like, this is where I had to be to see what is going on. Like, what do I have to learn to compete with these guys? Like, this is where the sponsors are. This is where the weather is. And so, yep. This area, I've lived within, 20 minutes, 30 minutes of here for the last 12, 13 years. And I don't think I could live anywhere else for what I do.
Okay. So you come out here and you're still, like, you're in these competitions and things. Do you end up going to Tony Hawk's ramp and skating with those guys?
Oh, well, that was one of the main reasons. So we'll connect that back to being 9 and one of the best young guys, then getting an in with the pros. So once I was 13 and qualified through all the AM comps and in the pro comps, these pros that were already had their name in the game, just said, come with us.
Wow.
So they'd let me go skate Hawks. I probably skated there, every week. I've probably still skated. Every week I've been on my board for maybe 10 of the 12 years. I've been there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That's amazing, because at that young age, it's quite rare to be that proficient at skateboarding, right? Because I remember being super into skateboarding at like that age, but I've still never landed a kickflip in my life, but I loved it, and I loved the culture around it. And we had a small a skate park in our small like mountain town, where there's like a couple people who could, drop in and ride a bull and stuff. And I loved the culture of it. But yeah, it must be rare to be at that age and to be doing things that typically older guys are doing.
Well, I don't know how much of it. I mean, obviously, it was talent has plenty to do with it, but so much of it was the ramps I get to skate, the contests I got to go to. Because I could go to a regular park in LA and get just and be very average. There's someone better there at certain things than, or go to a bowl that's rough and the coping sucks and someone's just ripping the place because they know it well, or that's what they're used to skating. And I was kind of a softer kid, like very quiet, very mellow, but I was good on the big ramps. Like you put me on a MegaRamp and I could do it.
That's crazy.
And so it was really weird, and that's where the least amount of competition was. There's like 20, 30 good vert skaters, and there was like maybe 12 good MegaRamp skaters. And so I came in at 13, 14, good enough and different. I was trying new shit, and I was trying to learn new tricks, and kind of was the first one to do, 900 on MegaRamp or this and that. So I kind of just got in through just sheer progression and being young, and then now I've grown up in it. And so it's insane to think about how much. I mean, so much. I got so lucky so many times, and just right place, right time, right skill set, right mindset.
Yeah, so let's unpack that a little bit, because in any specialty or sport or anything, I'm sure there's a lot of innate talent, but you do have to work really hard and build up to things, I'm sure. It's not day one that you're dropping in on. Can you tell us what the MegaRamp is, for example?
Well, 50-foot, there's two jumps. There's a 50-foot jump and there's a 70-foot jump. And then there's the quarter pipe where you hit and you go straight up. That's 28 feet tall. I don't know how big the roll-in is. I've heard so many different numbers. 90 feet or something like that. Like, it's big. You take at X Games, you take an elevator up. Like, when it was in the Staples Center, you'd actually take the actual elevator in the stadium up to the top, up to the nosebleeds, skate through the back area and then walk onto the ramp and drop in from the nosebleeds. It's pretty gnarly.
Okay, so is there like a day when, is there a buildup of that? Is there a foam pit where you practice MegaRamp, or do you just say, today's the day and I'm going to go for it and see what happens?
Well, that's kind of the reason it's so small. It's such a small community, because there isn't really a proper stepping stone. Like, you just have to have so much faith in yourself and the people around you. You have to have so much faith in you. Nobody wants you to get hurt, and also you don't want to fall in the middle of the ramp or do something dumb, But when I was 13, when I first did Mega, I had a knack for going high on vert. Like, I could blast. I could do 8, 10-foot airs, tricks, competition tricks at height, 540s. I'd tried 900s. I'd done, competed for years. So when Bob Burnquist, who owned the MegaRamp, the one out in Vista, invited me over, he trusted that if I just could go, that I'd be fine. But just processing the kind of the rules of the ramp, and also being like, knowing that I won't panic when I'm going at this massive, quarter pipe. Because that thing stares you in the face a little bit when you're going at it for the first time. And it was comfortable. It was honestly very comfortable. There's a benefit of being that small on a ramp that big. If you're learning it when you're 6 foot 160, which I am now, it's a little bit different than learning it when I was 5 foot. I must have been 5'4", or something like that, 120 pounds. As long as I could get enough speed to get over the gap. I'm tiny. I'm not going to hit the ground that hard. So it was the best time I could have learned.
Dude, even seeing it on TV, it looks scary. So I can't imagine standing atop the ramp, looking down.
Yeah, I mean, unless you see it in person, there's no way.
No comparison. And who was the guy? I can't remember his name. Was it something Brown?
Jake Brown.
Yeah, the devastating crash.
Yeah.
He ended up coming back, but I remember watching that live on TV. Where,
Yep.
I mean, what happened? What happened? Is there an explanation for why that would have taken place? Where he pulls up too far out, for example?
For sure. And that was 07, and I hadn't done MegaRamp yet. And my parents knew I wanted to skate it. And
Before.
Yeah, so when we're
Jeez.
watching this, and my dad is trying to tell me not, maybe don't do that, maybe no MegaRamp, and I'm telling my mom, telling him that I can do it, and we even went to X Games the next year, and I saw it in person. I was like, I can do this thing. But what happened with Jake is just, it's a bit of a freak accident, but also Jake's a wild card. Jake's a crazy guy. He puts himself on the edge and he doesn't let go, and so it's not common that kind of thing happens. But when he went into the bottom of the quarter pipe and started going up, he got a bit of speed wobbles.
Oh.
And then he started to bend his legs, and his legs kind of collapsed, and then he kind of bottomed out into his skateboard going up. Does that make sense?
It's not a controlled takeoff to begin with.
No, not at all. So he bottoms out into his board on the way up, and it just rebounds off of the vert. So once he's going straight up, the way that the G-forces work is it kind of made him jump off of his skateboard. Think of it if you're jumping on a trampoline and you jump way too high and you want to stop. It's you kind of pass that point of being able to stop. You kind of try to catch yourself, but it pushes you up. And that's what it is going to feel like on MegaRamp, but that's at the vert part. So, and it sends you in every, you only go 1 foot out and you're going an extra 7 feet down or something.
By the time you drop.
So then 2 feet, you're another 14. And so he's going 15 feet up, and, all you have to do is go, miss it by 1.5 feet on the way up and another 2 on the way down. And, you're 4 feet away from the ramp and, an extra 20 feet down. And it's just, it escalates so quickly.
And conversely, if you go too far the other way, you might end up on the coping too, right?
That's more common.
Okay.
Yeah, people do that way more often. Still sucks. We've all had our scary moments. Some people have broken a couple, break your tip fib on the coping, or an ankle, or, bruise your tailbone or bruise your heels. Something like that can happen pretty easy, especially the wind. The wind starts changing, or you have a headwind or a downwind. Yeah, I mean, you have a downwind, you overshoot the gap, so then you're going Mach 1 into the quarter, and then as you take off, the wind is still pushing you over the deck, and you're going real fast, so maybe you're a bit scared, so you have weak legs, and just everything kind of exponentially gets worse, and it just pushes you over the deck, and then, your ankle's gone. It's
That's intense.
Yeah.
So the first time you do it, do you for you, were you I'm going to do, 5 feet up, and then we'll build up from there? Do you kind of take it slowly, or just...
You have to take what it gives you. I mean, if you're going this fast, you're going this fast.
That's true.
I mean, you're out of options. I mean, that's why the community is so small, right? And that's why it's important that I was able to blast on vert, because however fast you're hitting that quarter is that's what's going on. You don't have brakes. You can't jump off your board because you're just going to run into the wall. You're just going to bug on the windshield into the vert wall. And that's no fun either. You're going 30, something like 30 miles per hour. So, you better be ready to take it straight up, and understand what's going on. And if you have that downwind, what your takeoff is going to look like, or if you have the winds coming from the opposite way, how maybe you got to suck yourself into the coping a little bit, even though you feel scared to.
Wow. So there's a lot more that goes into it than just mastering skateboarding. It's like all these other outside factors that you got to take into account for sure.
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, doing Mega now for 12 years, a lot of it's just tools of the trade. I don't really think about too much. I talked to some of the new guys. I remember Eddie talking to some of the new guys about how the quarter pipe works and how you aim for the sweet spot and the different types of things you'll feel off the coping where you don't even have to look where you're going. And I'm watching his eyes light up like, holy, you guys think about all this stuff. And I'm like, and I guess just, you do enough errors at 15 feet, you just get a rhythm. If there's a downwind, you notice. If there's, crosswind, you notice. If the coping's too big and you're trying to flip your board, you just start to pick up on these little patterns that happen. And you just build experience like that.
Well, it's very impressive. And speaking of Tony Hawk Pro Skater, watching you skate looks a lot like that. You make it look so easy. It's crazy. 12 times X Game medalist, right?
12. Yeah, that's insane.
That's crazy. And I heard you talking on your show, that's like you're averaging like 1 medal per year.
Yeah, 12 years, 12 medals. That's like probably my proudest stat.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And you're going back again in a month.
Yep, July 20th.
Congrats on that.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, because there was an X Games earlier this year, right? In Japan.
Mm-hmm.
So is it just, there's a lot of X Games in major cities? How does that work?
No, there's really not. They franchise the name out, but there's never any takers, really.
Oh.
This is the first overseas... this is the first X Games that happened outside of Disney running it.
Oh.
Since 2013 that I've been to.
Okay. So next month's like the official.
Next month's the regular summer X Games. Yeah.
Got it.
So that one off in Japan. They signed a 3-year deal though, so we're going back the next 2 years. Yeah, super excited about that.
How was that experience for you? It's kind of hectic with probably COVID and travel. How did that affect your competitions?
Tokyo, with their COVID protocol right now, is you don't want to go there really.
Even still.
Well, I take that back. Our event was in a bubble. It wasn't the government that was messing with us. It was the X Games bubble where they had so many rules so they could run an event. Tokyo wasn't exactly locked down.
There's a ton of people there, right?
Yeah, and I mean, everyone was in masks all the time, but I mean, we seriously had 12 different stops on the way out of the airplane. We had to take a COVID test on the spot and wait 45 minutes for the result of our entire airplane to make sure nobody on the plane had COVID. And if someone did, it was like this big deal, and then we had to go sit in our hotel for 3 days, and then hotel, venue, home. Those were the rules. So it was pretty hectic.
Wow, that is crazy. I mean, I was in Japan in 2018, so before COVID. It's a great place.
I love it.
I want to go back. I didn't realize how mountainous it was. Like a majority of the country is mountains. It's beautiful.
I know. I learned that too. Yeah, the snowboarding there is crazy good.
Yeah, that's cool. But next month, how are you feeling going into yet another X Games? That's amazing.
Well, I love competing. I'm a competitor. It gives me so much. I get like a free month of I know what to do every day. I know what the most important thing to do when I wake up. I know like going to bed and drink your water. It's like a really good reason to do the right things, and usually my overall health is just a lot better when there's actual things to do. Because sometimes in the winter season, when there's like 3, 4, 5, 6 months, COVID, there was like a year and some change without any comps. It's like, dude, like I love taking care of myself and staying in shape and doing all these things, but like you slip once and then there's really nothing to get ready for, and you don't know why you're training, or your sleep schedule gets off and it doesn't really matter, and then someone wants to play video games at like 4 a.m. and you're like, okay, sure, like, let's just play. And so when there's comps like this, I mean, this season, 2 in July, 2 in August, I'll have 2 in October, all different events, and it's just a good reason to wake up and focus. It's what I like doing, especially traveling and getting in planes and booking hotels, and I missed it so much, man.
And I see you hitting the assault bike at like 5 a.m. or something.
Yeah, every day at
Monster.
5, workout. Yeah.
It's a lot of the things that people can see it, people can follow you and watch that, but like a lot of people see the end result, which is seeing you on TV and things. So how gratifying is that when you know you're going to wake up at 5 and do something you probably don't want to do at 5 a.m, but you know it's going to be all for this end result of putting all out on the line, putting out your best effort?
Well, I think some of the reasons I work out so early is also for like podcasting and that kind of stuff too, because I can wake up at noon and go ride my skateboard fine, stay in good shape through skating, if I skate for 3-4 hours, whatever, have some drinks and go to sleep. But I get stupid. Like I'll get stupider if I just do that. So if I wake up and work out, I am doing 5 days a week right now, which is a lot, but I don't mind it. Work out Monday, Wednesday, Friday with a trainer, and then I'll do some stuff on my own Tuesday, Thursday, maybe like shadow boxing or lunges or something like that. But what that does, it'll get me out 5 to 6 and then get my day started, and then I can use that morning to either try to like learn some different things on my skateboard that I didn't know. I've been filming different trick tutorials on my Instagram. I can plan podcasts. I can respond to emails. I can read if I need to. I can study things. Like setting that time from my mind a little more than only my body. That's a real benefit of waking up that early. I mean, that's like physically I'm pretty good. Skating's hard. You'll stay in shape if you skate a lot. But, keeping your hip flexor strong, keeping your mobility and keeping your mind right the gym's important for all that too.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, what do you work on when you go to the gym? Like, what are the benefits to getting stronger when, an event like, riding the MegaRamp where it is a very brief period of time, is it a lot about flexibility, or do you need power in a lot of these things that you're doing too?
Impact.
Okay.
Taking impact is huge. Stamina, just for practicing purposes. Some of the practice days are long, but a lot of it is, tiny mobility things that you can only get through strength, like being able to like open and close your hips or actually straighten your legs. A lot of people's hamstrings are underdeveloped, and especially with skating, you're so much on your toes. My quads get so strong and my hip flexors get so tight that it'll start pulling on my lower back if I don't, if we strengthen your hamstrings, it can kind of pull everything back to where it's supposed to be. Then you're taking impact on top of that. And then there's also the fundamental idea that, you wake up and do some shit you hate, and your day is going to be a little easier. You acclimate to an assault bike at 5 a.m., doing some kickflips at 11 when the sun's out with a couple of your homies, like it's kind of mellow.
The hard work's done. That's the best.
I just want to cold plunge. I just don't have a place to cold plunge, and that's the only thing that I'm missing right now in my training.
Can you get like one of those big Rubbermaid bins and do the ice and fill it up? It's kind of a pain.
I can't be bothered with the hassle of maintenance. I want the
sounds miserable.
The meat fridge with the pump, with the cooler pump, sounds cool. Mm-hmm. The proper cold plunge sounds cool. There's a place called Breathe Degrees that has a ice bath and hot tub and stuff, but it's like expensive. Like,
yeah,
$40, and I'm like, I'm only gonna use this for 3 minutes. I can't do this 5 days a week.
That's true. Can you do it in the bathtub, like ice in the bathtub even?
That's also a hassle. I have roommates, and we share a shower, and like I could, but it's like I also don't want to go be buying like 300 pounds of ice a week.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's just it is an annoying thing. I need that meat freezer. You caulk it up so it doesn't leak. You get a pump and a thermometer attached to the outlet so it turns off and on when it's in the right temperature range. And then you only need like 3 to 7 minutes a day, and you're healthier.
We used to go out to Mammoth Lakes. Have you been out there before? Mm-hmm. And Got some dump trucks. It's always once an episode. Got some dump trucks.
Can you
outside.
hear it in the episode? You'll be able to hear it.
Yeah, but it's always part of the experience. So welcome to the van, everybody. We're on a busy street. That's okay. But yeah, we'd go do high school. We would go out to Mammoth Lakes and do the high altitude training for a couple weeks. And then there was like a stream by our campsite. It was like called Snow Creek. So we'd go in and sit there after like hard day training, and you get all the snow runoff from the mountains, and you'd sit in that. So it was like a natural ice bath. It hurts for a few minutes, and then you're good, and then it helps you recover so well.
Well, I'm no good at it. It hurts.
Yeah.
I'm not especially good at it. I just know like the cardiovascular health, and the anxiety relief, that kind of stuff is kind of unparalleled.
Yeah. Okay. That's great. So yeah, that's something I really wanted to ask you about, was the whole physicality of going into competitions and stuff. So that's really cool. There's a lot to it, more than just skating. Do you have any like particular goals, or like what events are you going into in a month in LA?
The particular goals, I'm really careful the way I set goals because I don't want to be disappointed. You know, I always feel like there's something weird about going and trying to win, even though that's like, you know, that's the goal, right? Just sign up for the contest. I agree to the invite. It's like I'm gonna go try to win it. But I'm usually happy with myself if I prep right. You know, I enjoy my time prepping, and I'm healthy, I'm strong, I'm, you know, ready to show up and see what I can do. If I put myself in that position, that's a pretty good start. And then I'll usually just pick a handful of tricks that I'd like to give a good effort for, and that's where I'm at. You know, I stand on them, you know, even if I'm scared, even if, you know, sometimes it doesn't go great, but you give yourself a chance, and it works a lot of time. So, yeah, show up strong, give yourself a chance. Man, you can't really ask for more. I mean, I've done this now for, you know, when you compete for a decade or more, and there's been times where I get like silver and I'm pissed at myself, and then there's times where I just miss the podium entirely, and I'm like, you know, that wasn't so bad.
Interesting. You know? Yeah, I wonder why, because I feel like that too. I like run competitively, and it's like, yeah, if you don't hit the top 100, there's a race back home, and it's like 16,000 people. And if I don't get top 100, sometimes I'm disappointed in that, but then sometimes I get 89th, and I'm like, I could have gotten like 50th.
Yeah.
Why is that, you think? That it's like just the scale varies of how you judge your own performance.
Well, the person right above you, obviously you can whip their ass because they're right there.
Sure.
Right? I mean, you have it in like, it's in fingertip range. I mean, you can see it. You're like, well, if I just, you know, ran a little bit faster, they're screwed. And then you can just, then you get in this feedback loop of, well, I could have done this, and I could have done that, and I could have done this, and I could have done that. And I mean, that's just the way it is, though, as a competitor. I think the only thing that comes from experience is being able to apply that before instead of only after. Being able to also apply it before, like months out.
Prepare.
And what can I do to give myself, you know, that edge or that chance that I need? Or, you know, because I know what it's like when it's 6 p.m. and we skated all day, and then there's another, you know, you're going into finals and your right leg's dead, and your run's not working great, and the sun is in a weird spot, and there's weird weather, and it's not your best day, and someone else is skating really well. It's like, you know what that's like, so you get ready for it, because that's what's going to happen. I mean, contest day is not usually your best day ever. Sometimes it happens, but that's once in a blue moon. You know, I can think of the 4 or 5 times I skated, like, I was on that day, and it's contest day. You know, but that doesn't happen all the time.
Right. Yeah. You can do everything right and still just be a different day.
Yeah. You're just bricks.
It can be skateboarding or running or probably anything. I think a lot of what it is for me, at least, and maybe this, you could relate to this, but it's like, I know if I'm going to put in the mileage before a race and you do everything leading up to the start line, like that's all you can do. And I think it's really being honest with yourself. Did I prepare? Did I take it easy when I should have been turning it on? Like, I think maybe that has something to do with judging something and judging your performance after the fact. It's like, did I give it all I could, even before the comp began.
Yeah, and like if you didn't make any brain dead decisions, you weren't weak, mentally, emotionally, physically. Like when there was a time where you asked something from yourself, like did you give it to yourself? All these things are great ways to mitigate a little of the self-inflicted damage that comes. But if you're a competitor, it's gonna sting. There's no real way to take out the sting, but you can get out of like that terrible feedback loop of just starting to like degrade yourself and things that aren't gonna help you the next time around.
Right, because there is conversely being too hard on yourself where it's like you do everything right and you get second place and it's like, okay, like you did everything right, like give yourself some grace sometimes,
You want to carry the right amount of weight. You pick up too much weight, it's going to smash you into the ground and you're not going to get any stronger. It's too light, you don't notice it, and you're also not going to get any stronger. But you find that middle ground where it's like, what's the right amount of weight for me to carry that I can acclimate to, and I will get stronger from that. And the next time around, we can take on a little more. And so, like, after a contest, I always take inventory. You got to be real with yourself. But that's really where you got to make the choice. Like, am I in this? Do I love this? Do I want to, And when it's easy to wake up at 4:30 in the morning, 5 days a week, and to get outside and to be sweating and then on the way to the skate park before the sun comes up and filming this and getting the podcast and oh yeah, I love it. Like there's no question.
Yeah.
I don't even notice that's what I'm doing. It's just I know that's the right thing to do, and so it's like done.
Yeah.
You know
what it is too? It's consistency, because if you wake up 4:30 in the morning like once a week or twice a week, like that's gonna suck every time. I mean, it sucks every time, but when I go out and run 8 miles, I'm doing it every day. And so you acclimate to that. I remember passing a couple ladies on a trail one time, and they're like, oh, that guy's running so hard. And the other lady was like, yeah, but you have to be consistent. And like, I just heard that in passing. I'm like, yeah, if you're going to run 5 miles once a week or once a month, yeah, it's going to suck every time. But if you like normalize yourself to that impact and that load, it's like, other things in your life become easy, and as well as that thing becomes easy. You can handle more in so many different areas. Consistency.
And you're doing so much outside of that, maybe without even noticing, that is going to help you handle that load. Maybe like the food you eat and the time you go to bed. I went to bed at, this week, I went to bed at like 8:15, 8:30, 7:30.
Wow.
Like p.m. and I'm sleeping like 8-9 hours and waking up at 4:30. So it's not like I'm losing sleep. It's just 6 p.m. hits, 7 p.m. as the sun starts going down. I just had my last meal of the day. I know I'm gassed, like I'm not going to be able to do anything. And I can't wait to start tomorrow so I can go, so my body feels good again and it's time to go. Like that's how this last week felt.
That's amazing. You're hungry, it sounds like.
Yeah,
that's
super.
Great. Can you talk a little bit about, like, obviously you talked about the proudest accomplishment, 12 years, 12 medals. That's amazing. There's also some really cool like highlights, like hitting a 900, hitting a 1080, world's first 1260. That's huge. What does that feel like when you do something? I'm sure you have a lot of different things at play. Adrenaline to get you into trying something, or preparation as well. What's it like when you nail something that you've been after?
It's always a bit surreal, when there's things that are legitimately real tough. Because there's a lot of time. I mean, you learn tricks all the time skating. It's in the culture. Try new things all the time. So you get used to that. And that's just part of what we do. You learn new tricks, and that's fun. That's like what it's all about at the end of the day. But when you run into a trick that, quote unquote, means something, it is a little surreal because it feels like learning a trick. But the energy around it and the impact and the way people congratulate you, or the contest results, or, all of a sudden it's on ESPN top 10, or those things are so trippy because mean, that's what we do as skaters. We push ourselves, we push the boundaries. And obviously the kid who came up the youngest, who's been doing it the longest, who has the most experience spinning in this, like, it makes sense that it was me that did a 12, you know, because that's been my path. And then the butterfly effect of that is it's so trippy. It because, you know, there's Tony Hawk's talking about it, or I'm on some talk show, or it's brought up in every interview, or it's on ESPN #1 in the top 10, or millions of views, or like 15 million views on TikTok, like these kind of things. I'm like, oh wow, I wouldn't hit.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure you've been asked this before, but the 1260, it's crazy. They say, like, you're already spinning before you even take off.
Yeah.
It's incredible. But like you said, yeah, it's like learning a trick, because like that's the first time you did it. You learned it right then.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's pretty cool too. Have you been asked this before? Your reaction to the 1260? It was subdued, not something like explosive fist pump. What was going through your mind?
Have you ever hit a pothole like real big, and you like wondered if your car is gonna fall apart, you know,
Yeah.
and you just kind of sit there for a second? It's like I was in shock, man. I didn't know if I was, you know, did I do it? Did I actually spin that much? What does this mean for me? Like, what's gonna happen in my life? Am I safe? Am I all right? Like, I thought I was going to die like 3 seconds ago, and I'm just standing here and everything's fine. Like, it was just so a little overwhelming, dramatic, a little bit, like, I was definitely in shock. I also knew that, like, on the real life note outside of that, I was like, skateboarding's only going to give me so much in my life as far as like satisfaction and joy. And, you know, I need to do better at my relationships. I need to do better at some discipline stuff, like the stuff that you're seeing. Like, I started my podcast after that. You know, it was bittersweet because I accomplished so beyond my goals in skating that it was kind of clear that really wasn't, like, skating alone was never gonna make me happy, you know? And it's just kind of processing all that at once in front of a lot of people, you know, is like, so, and it was focused, man. Like, laser beams were coming out of my eyes, and I could have gone back up the stairs and done it again, probably. Like, I was just so ready, and I was just so in fight mode, you know, that I couldn't snap out. I mean, that whole night I was pretty quiet. That whole, you know, the whole flight home, I didn't really even party that night. I didn't really, like, I was just happy to be okay. I was happy to be healthy. I was happy to get that one down and not have to worry about it, you know, ever again if I don't want to, and just kind of put that one to rest. Yeah.
That perspective, to have that, especially in a moment like that, that's incredible. To be able to, you know, celebrate, be in shock, look at, you know, there's more to life than just this. Because, you know, maybe other people say, I'm set, I'm done, like, this is going to give me everything I need. They may crash and burn later.
Well, I didn't know that. I've been a competitor since my first memories. You know, 13 moving here. You know, I was on the Today Show when I was like 6. I was on Jimmy Kimmel Live. I was on Ripley's Believe It or Not. And then I started doing demos and then competed through the AM series, turned pro, 10 years straight, you know, 1260. And like, my life was kind of like, I was having a rough go with it. Like, I was in a relationship that was like on the brink of ending, you know, at my relationship with my mom was terrible. I wasn't fighting with everyone, but I just wasn't happy. You know, I didn't feel like I was in control of my own life. I didn't feel like I knew what was going to happen next, or I was all that excited for whatever happens next. I mean, I had my trick list, though. I mean, my trick list was, that 12 was important to me. There's no question. You know, it wasn't like I did it for, like, all skating. Like, I don't even care. Like, I just did it because I knew that I could. And once I know that I can do something, it's like, let's put it to rest as quickly as possible because it'll just be in my head until I do it. So, I thought about it and immediately went on attack mode for the 1260, and it kind of was like my whole life. But I think chasing that strongly, I think that was a huge way for me. That was the huge way for me to avoid a lot of my life. Was like, let's just focus everything right here and go do this, and it worked. Like, man, like it would have been, it's nice sometimes to fail because you can just try again, and that's all you have to worry about. But it worked so fast. It took like 5 tries in 3 months.
Wow.
And afterwards I was like, you can do what you put your mind to. It's like, but let's do this in a better way. Like, let's start to fix some of these like leaking holes before the ship sinks.
Like I said, it's great to be able to have that outlook because, again, people might do that and then find something else immediately to occupy their mind with 24/7 and then just keep doing that indefinitely for the rest of their life. But to slow down and take inventory, say, I have some things going on that I want to change outside of skateboarding, that's really fantastic. And
well, it scared me, because my career is a huge part of my identity. It's my friendships. It's my, work relationships. It's what I do for fun. It's my hobby. It's where I live. It's, so when you start to feel that you start to question that, it's like, that's not something, I mean, that would be the hardest thing for me to give up, so it was a real crossroads of, is this something that I'm gonna do forever, like I thought I was gonna do when I was 13? Well, the answer is, well, hell yeah, but it wasn't always that clear. It was like, let's really make sure that I'm here because I want to be, and that I work this hard because I want to, and I enjoy putting my body on the line. I enjoy the process. I really like what this whole thing does. Because, I mean, dude, it wreaks havoc on your life. Like, I'm hurt perpetually. Not anything bad, but, like, I'll throw my back out every couple months, and I've broken my wrist 9 times. And, I have metal in my collarbone, and sometimes, my hips are tight, and my ankles are sore. But I don't mean any of that in a bad way. It's just, that's what it is. So, like, maintaining a relationship when you're, if I'm going to travel 6 months out of the year, which is likely to be happening again after COVID really ends, I mean, you got to understand that, if you're not going to, you might not be able to have a regular relationship or a significant other. You might not have the same lifestyle as some of your close friends. You're going to leave, and their friendships are going to get better, and, they're going to do their hobbies together all the time, and here you are on the road, hurt, trying to make tricks, trying to get sponsors and make this work. It's like, those are big choices, man. Your whole life is on the line, So I think that's what motivated me to, check into therapy and do some real inventory and see, like, what do we want to keep? What do we want to throw out? Yeah.
That's fantastic because I wanted to talk to you about your podcast. Like I said, you convey these messages so well. Your podcast, Brusco Talks Shop.
Yep.
Everybody check it out. It's so good. And one of the great things about it, too, is that it's always baffled me why mental health has been stigmatized. I feel like maybe that's shifting. I'm not totally sure. But it's like, you wouldn't shame someone for wanting to heal from a broken limb. Why would it be weird for someone to want to better relationships in their life or ease the load on their mind? Like, I never understood that. But the way that you unpack these things, your podcast about things like depression, anxiety, like, it opens people's minds up to, I think, be more comfortable, to be okay with going to ease their mind and get help and things. How did you decide that you wanted to share that, though, and start this podcast?
Well, I think it was so hard coming off of, like, going through COVID, coming through the crazy shit I was going through after the 1260, family drama, relationship drama. Like, shit was real hard, and I knew that, like, I I could see that like a lot of my friends are in pain. You know, like I've lost people close to me to suicide, had people like close to me try, had, you know, friends of friends that, you know, and then even drug addiction and drinking and, you know, numb the pain. And it was just like, and I seem like a pretty well put together guy, and this is hard. I was like, how are we pretending that, you know, this isn't like, how are we pretending that this isn't like universal, you know? So I think a lot of the trouble is a lot of, I think what I did well in the beginning was like this rule I had for myself is like, you can't ask for help and be embarrassed at the same time. It was like, I was really able to compartmentalize that. Like when I needed help, that's just, I was so curious and I allowed myself to not bring my ego into it and be like, hey, what if it's like this for me? Like, you know, what if like, it's just sad that I like had to open my eyes again. Like, what is that? Have you ever heard that before? Why do I close my eyes when I go to sleep? Why do I get an adrenaline rush and I don't want to go to sleep? And then I start thinking about when I was 7 and this happened. And then and it's just like, just a curiosity kind of fed that. And I just figured I'd do it raw, like no drugs, no anything, and just kind of let's sit through it. And then when I started my podcast, it was like I wanted it to be for me. You know, I wanted to be able to go back and listen to conversations that would genuinely be impactful on my life. So if I go back and listen to a podcast from 4 months ago, it's useful to me. Like I know it's things that I would need to hear and want to hear that would help me feel better. And also don't complain. Like I'm not complaining. Like it's just it's just the way things are, and I try my best to come up with like I try my best to carry my weight. And I think when you talk about anxiety and depression and a solution that works some of the time, and then what you do when it doesn't work, and how, you know, you still just carry the weight. I mean, people find that comforting because that's like you're actually a bit tougher than if it wasn't the case. Where I think the mental health being stigmatized comes with when it's perceived as weakness, but that I think comes when you don't have a solution, or when you feel like it's inhuman. Like when people are like, oh, I feel like this and I shouldn't. It's like, well, obviously you're misunderstanding like your entire experience. Don't know what to do about that. But if you're like, it's just this hard, but that's, I guess, how it is, and this is what I'm doing about it, people seem to react pretty good. You know, they seem to relate a lot, actually.
Yeah, well, you're normalizing things that, you know, should be normalized. You know, having anxiety. Dude, we interact with so many people on a daily basis. It's like, I don't even know who I'm going to interact with after this conversation. It's like I could have a difficult situation an hour from now. And it's like your brain can only handle so much coming in. And it's like, yeah, to be able to have like an outside, not just a distraction, but to actually have like a therapist who can say, let me help you unpack what that means, how you can compartmentalize in a healthy way rather than trying to distract yourself away from that. I think that's amazing that your podcast is doing that.
Well, I like, for instance, like if you like doing drugs and drinking and partying, like all the power to you. Like that stuff's super fun. It's like, well, why would you do that about something bad that happened?
Like as a distraction?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, you know, like partying's fun, but like it's do something that helps you and go party. Like that's just the one thing that I never understood with my friends and some people my age. It's like just like partying the pain away or distracting from this, and it's like it seems so obvious that doesn't help. I mean, you've seen that road 1,000 times of, you know, people getting addicted to drugs and or partying too much or not focusing on what they should. It's like, dude, you can't. I mean, you should know that you can't avoid the pain forever because you can't anyways. Like you're trying your best and you still can't avoid it. It's like there's only one way out, man. It's like you're gonna have to deal with the life that's in front of you.
Right. It's like party when things are good, not when it's like you're trying to escape.
Yeah, it's just like don't only do that. It's like it's not this huge dramatic like, if you're going to go to therapy that you have to be perfect or that your therapist is going to judge you for taking it slow or this or that. It's like, man, one thing a month that you really, can unpack, and you're well on your way. Like, it doesn't take much. Just someone that maybe holds you accountable to the things that you want yourself, and also someone that can help you. Like, if you have a crazy mom, like, you're screwed. Like, if you try to go home and talk about, normal things or a relationship or this or that, and she's like overbearing or gets in the way or that can be like really distracting. It can be good to have someone like with no stake in the game being like, hey, this is called codependency, or maybe if you had too much responsibility when you're young, it's like, oh, people who are parentified, meaning like turned into the parent when they're young, people who are parentified tend to have these behaviors and date these kind of people. So actually you're doing a pretty good job considering what the paperwork says on people like you. And you're like, oh, there's people like me? It's just, be curious. It's not going to kill you.
Yeah. It's only going to be positive, and it may be hard, but it's only going to end up being something that helps you.
Yeah, it's like antibiotics, though. Like, you can't stop in the middle. Like, if you're going to start, like, see it through.
Yeah.
No, that's important.
That's a good word.
Some people don't realize that, if it gets hard, that's not a sign that things are getting worse. The thing that was the most confusing part is everyone told me that I was just getting worse and worse. Like, why would you go to therapy if you're just sad all the time? Or, I feel like if I did that, I'd be feeling like all the time, talking about all that stuff. And, I got worse for like a year. Like, I got hit hard where I just kept getting worse and worse and worse. Because as I unpacked, there's more and more and more and more and more. And it was just like, started to get overwhelming. And then I started to try to like fix things and it didn't work. And then things would get worse again. It's like, man. And I think that's the one thing in like my family and friendship culture that I try to offer now is like, see, like, it will get worse before it gets better, and see it through. Like, if your instincts are telling you like you need to poke this bear a little bit, like, maybe go poke it, because you might find something valuable on the other side. Where I think my dad and maybe my brother-in-law, I remember in my specific conversations where it's like, I don't see the point in like, why are you poking and prodding at this thing that just hurts? Like, ignore it, move on. Like, it's easier like that. And it's like, I don't really have a choice anymore, man. Like, I woke this thing up, and we're gonna get through it just like this.
Yeah, and it can be years of trying to distract, and you're like putting dirt on this hole, and you're trying to like, after so long, there's gonna be a lot more dirt. But at the end, it's like you're gonna be good. It's like worth it.
Yeah,
sure. Have you gotten like a lot of good feedback from your podcast and people reaching out saying, "Hey, this helped me and this encouraged me"? Because I love that. One of the things you say is like, reach out to me, like privately, publicly, and we're here to talk.
Well, you realize pretty quick that a lot of people don't have a single person to talk to, which I think that's really hard for me to understand. And B, that's like, it's really jarring to become that person for someone, like, in one message, But I learned, the last guy on my podcast was telling me like the average, male has less than one person to talk to about everything, So in the numbers are crazy because, I have like 5 people, but because of the way I am and who I am and what, like, I have great opportunities to make a lot of friends, and that seems to be how it is. Like, the people who have people to talk to have 4 or 5 people, maybe 3, maybe their own father if they're lucky, and a best friend, and a girlfriend, and maybe their girlfriend's dad, and they have like a network of family. So there's a handful of people with 5 or 6 people to talk to, and then most people have nobody. Okay. And it's like, and can't afford therapy and can't do these things. And so those are the kind of people that end up reaching out on Instagram, right? Of like, hey, stories like over a blink of an eye. This kid whose dad had killed himself, and now he feels judged in his town at his high school. And this kid who he broke up with his girlfriend, and he can't talk to anyone about it, and he feels like because he's heartbroken, and she moved on, and now he can't get a new girl because he's so sad that his whole energy is tanking, and now he doesn't even want to go to work. And it's just like, these people are everywhere, and those are all things that a lot of people deal with. But if you don't have anyone, it can be tough. So, I don't know how to balance that boundary. I listen to people, I respond to DMs all the time, comments, I try to teach. But I think the best thing that I can offer is just like continue being open, transparent, honest on my podcast, have people on that are the same, and kind of solve problems in real time. Because I feel like if you can watch someone be curious about an issue that they're struggling with and then kind of come to a realization, it's like, hey, oh, he's doing that and I can do that myself. It's like, me personally, like, I don't want to take care of anyone. Like, I spent a lot of time being like that, and it doesn't really help. It's like, I can take care of me, and I can watch you take care of you, and we can do that together, and we can recruit more people that like taking care of themselves, and that's that.
Yeah, I think it again goes back to just it's important to have people that you can help to see things in a different perspective. Also along the lines of, destigmatizing these things so people do feel comfortable to share it with someone who they may be friends with, and I think maybe they are afraid to see if that person is okay with being like a sounding board for these personal moments, and most likely they are. I think people are, pretty innately good. So you also mentioned like loyalty is important too. Like find those people that are going to be there for you, be there for them back. I don't remember the exact quote, but it was great. You said your life might depend on it.
Yeah.
That's so huge.
Well, and that was maybe like my biggest dropped ball up until I was, 21 or so, was, there was a few people that were really loyal to me genuinely that I just wasn't back. I didn't understand the importance of, I just easily had dropped some friendships that I really regretted dropping. And that was harsh, man. And that took a couple of years to get back to the point where they were they were really genuinely strong again. And what it was it took just me, I literally wrote down a few names on my whiteboard of, who would I literally never betray? Who would I die for, essentially? Like, nobody is going to separate those relationships. I know who these people are through and through. I know they're there for me, and I know I'm there for them. I literally wrote like 4 or 5 names down and checked on them, 2-3 times a week for, a year, 2 years. And, through that, I just built like actual good relationships. Because then there was a time where they needed something, and I was ready. Or there was a time where, someone says some snarky comment about them, and I'm just like, no, thank you. Like, you can like see yourself out. Like, you're not more important than these relationships that I have. And that's where, once I had like a loyalty, because you need to be loyal to have loyalty in your life. Other people can be loyal to you and you just won't notice because you're not loyal back, or the other way around. So it's a tricky game, but if you can get it right, it's really good for you.
Yeah, what's it look like the other way for people who are like, I'm putting in all this effort to be there for this person, and it's like the opposite. I'm not getting that loyalty back. What would you say to those people?
Well, you have to be loyal to the right people once to notice what it's like to be loyal to the wrong person. Because I see a lot of people with a good heart who stay in their friend group and relationship because they're so loyal to their friends. Like, no, you're scared of leaving something that you should. That's not loyalty. It's like, loyalty is a bit of a two-way street. So if The difference between loyal and being a servant is like pretty dramatic, and I think that's where I never chose the ones that were loyal to me. I never chose to be really loyal back to them. And like once I did that once or twice, it was so clear that it was like, what's this like addiction I had for overly caring about people that don't have my best interests in mind? Like it was like, you shine the flashlight on it.
Yeah. That's so cool. You're so quotable with all these things and the ways in which you help people. So that's amazing. So thanks for sharing that.
Of course.
I know we've talked about skateboarding. We talked again, Brusco Talks Shop. Check it out.
Yeah,
Incredible
please.
podcast.
Please. Barely ahead of you. I got 34 episodes now. So.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
You talk about so many different things. It's amazing. I got a long drive home in a couple days, and I'll be listening to that.
Cool.
Aside from, the accomplishments we talked about in skateboarding, what's been your, most proud moment, accomplishment in terms of like your, discovering these interpersonal relationships? Do you have something that you can say, I loved when I, did this thing in my life. I loved when I went to therapy. Do you have like something that you're really proud of that you like to share with people who may be looking for one quick elevator pitch of advice?
I think I'm happiest that I trusted myself. I mean, there's a lot of times on this road that nothing really made sense to anyone, and I stopped asking for permission. I was about like 20, 21. I asked for support, and I think once I started doing that, I was really able to start making progress, because I think asking for permission it's tricky, man. People try to help you and they don't know you very well because you barely know you. And you are just rolling on a whim on what the right things to do are. You're following breadcrumbs to try to find gold. And it's like, I just need you guys to support me in this. I don't know what it's going to look like. I'm going to take 15 wrong turns. But, hey, I'm going to show up. I'm really going to show up, though. And when I started doing that, instead of being like, hey, do you think this is a good idea? What if I do this? Do you think that? My life got a lot better. Slowly, but it got a lot better.
That's amazing. So take those steps when it's hard, and it'll pay off in a great way if you keep at it. Consistency, right?
Yeah, I mean, and you can give up on things, but don't give up on you. Like I started my podcast and stopped it because I wasn't doing a very good job, like in 2020. I've done, a bunch of skydives. I've done, spent a lot of time in tunnel flying. I've had different relationships. I've had, I've tried streaming video games. I tried doing different, bunch of different things that, each step of the way, yeah, you might get laughed at a little bit, or, maybe it is stupid. Maybe it just doesn't make any sense and it is dumb. But I mean, as long as you follow your instincts as they come up and as that moment arises, you have time for it. But if you wait around and think too much, you might lose that window where, I don't think I could stream 1,000 hours this year. I don't have time. But I did that and I learned from it. And, I talked to a microphone and a webcam and to a chat. Maybe that's why I can podcast, because of the, thousands of hours on Twitch for no reason with 3 viewers.
And do it because you like it too. Once you start to not like it, don't do it, right? It's like, I lose money on this podcast all the time. We're running the AC right now with $20 a gallon on gas because I'm hearing an amazing story and words from you. It's all worth it if you like to do it, right? You don't need the fame and fortune from something if you hate it. I like doing this because it's fun and I get to meet amazing people like yourself.
Exactly.
I know we have a hard stop at 2, but are you going to skate after this? Are you going to the park?
I have to go meet a friend at 2:20.
Okay.
Right down the street. So,
speaking of skating, do you ever drop in at skate parks and kids just oh, it's Mitchie. Let's skate with Mitchie.
Yeah. I mean, especially around here, sometimes it gets pretty crazy. Most of the time, no. But if they ask my name and I say Mitchie, I mean, there's not very many Mitchies around, especially in the skate parks in San Diego. So. A lot of time, Brusco. But I mean, lately, what's been really cool is the kids will come up to me and say, this, that, and the other, 1260 and tray flips or whatever trick tip you posted. And then, their dad will come up to me and be like, hey, I was just diagnosed with like bipolar depression, and this are some things I'm doing. And, my son watches your Instagram, but I listen to your podcast. I think that's super great. Or, maybe the older kid, maybe one of the dads had said like his older son is like very like quiet, and this podcast is really important because, they can listen to it when they don't really have to talk about these things, but someone is. And things like that is just, so the skaters are impacted because I'm a skater, and the parents are impacted because I'm able to use my voice. And I mean, that's just, that is by far the coolest thing that's ever happened. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, you're helping people in various areas, whether it's life and relationships, and then, posting these trick tips and things. And it's like, I might get back on a skateboard and watch your tips and get that kickflip in. We'll see.
Cool. I love it.
Speaking of like, dropping in at skate parks, I have this DVD I used to watch the heck out of it. It was Tony Hawk's Secret Skate Park Tour.
Yeah.
Did you watch that?
Yeah, I know the one.
Oh gosh, I was always at the skate park like, oh, today's the day that Ryan Sheckler's going to hop out of that bus over there. You want to play a quick game of burning questions?
Yes.
All right. Here we go. Burning questions. I'm going to mix them up. Feel free to pick a card.
Oh, I get to pick?
Go from there. Yeah, it's your episode.
Do I read it?
I haven't figured out how to do this yet. I'll read it to you. How's that? Okay. What makes you feel accomplished?
Makes me feel accomplished when I'm so tired that I can sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've always had I've always been a night owl, but I've just like been, anxious. I've always had a tough time going to sleep. So when it's 8 or 9 or 10, whatever time it is, and I know that I'm ready to go to sleep, and like that's what I did for the day, money can't buy that, man.
Yeah. Dude, there's nothing like being exhausted in a good way. It's like I ran this morning. It's like I can veg out the rest of the day and I still know I ran.
Yep.
It's like I'm not going to veg out, but it's like do something that challenges yourself. I love that.
Exactly.
Want to do a couple more?
Yes, I'd love to.
All right, here we go. How do you wish to be remembered? These are fully loaded questions, actually.
I've never really thought too much about legacy. I just wish to be remembered, I think that's some of the reason that my podcast, I think, is so special to me. It's because that's there forever, and you really will get to know me. There's like 34 2 to 3 hour episodes on there. This is 100 hours where I'm telling the truth. And, if you didn't get the chance to, meet me or skate with me, or, God forbid something happens, it's like my younger sister can play those, and things like that. I think that's really nice to have. That's
amazing.
Yeah.
It's like this tangible thing. That's why I love doing video and podcasting now too. It's because there's this tangible thing. It's like, that is a conversation that's going to like live on now. It's like people can listen to that later, learn something from it, enjoy it. Yeah, I love that.
Think about when Joe Rogan passed away, like,
dude,
and people from, who never met him would know him better than their own family members. And I think that's like a pretty cool thing.
That is I didn't think about that. I wonder how many hours he has. Someone's probably calculated it, but yeah. We're on our way there.
Yeah.
Want to do one more burning question?
I'd love to. Whatever you got.
It's been a pleasure, though. I really appreciate you coming on the Vancast.
Of course.
Again, shout out Lexi Grantham.
Yeah, Lexi Grantham. Like, we got to do a podcast.
Dude, we should, all three of us, get her on.
I would love to.
Yeah.
I want to do a bit with her, all three of us.
Oh, my gosh. We could do that virtually.
Yeah, I told her, I answered her question, did you see what outfit should I wear next?
Yes. Yeah.
I said, you should wear clothes that you're supposed to wear underwater, but outside of the water. Man, I think that kind of stuff is so funny.
Yeah, it's like the anti-humor.
Oh my God.
I don't even know what it's called, but
the winter clothes are out of style.
Yeah.
They're all 30% off right now.
That's a good one. Obviously, the first one I think I saw was, did you tell the mayor about the new smoothie flavor? Because he doesn't like things like that. Or
the mayor gets weird about that kind of stuff.
I think the bio is still, the account's run by the mayor. He's weird about things like this.
Oh, and when you made the Photoshop one of the map of the...
Oh, she's looking for her way home?
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. People just need to go follow. Lexi's cool on TikTok. Lady Grantham on Instagram. Lady Grantham's fan club.
Yeah.
And of course, your Instagram. Yeah, that one's me. Your Instagram.
We can just shout out Lady Grantham. That's okay.
No, we need to get yours in there too, because we're all going to be in a video together.
Mitchie Brusco 84.
Mitchie Brusco 84. Check him out. Check out Brusco Talks Shop. Dude, ready for your last question?
Yep.
Do you have a hidden talent? This is perfect. Aside from skateboarding, which is not hidden.
A hidden talent. I think what like I'm a sport guy, so I do all sorts of sports. But I think it would surprise you, like if we went to the indoor skydiving place. Okay. I think if we went to like the iFly, I can rip those tunnels because I got sponsored by them. In like 2018 or something for skating. They gave me like hundreds of hours in the tunnel.
Whoa, like where you're floating on the thing?
Yeah, I got to fly like 250 hours or something.
That's crazy. Have you actually skydived then?
Yeah, like 1,000 skydives.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I've never done it.
Yeah, it's worth doing. It's right down the street. You could do it.
So are you talking like you're leveling yourself out, flipping, and various things like that?
Yeah, all sorts of. I did competitions in the tunnel and did all sorts of. I went to Europe skydiving and did like a couple hundred jumps over there in Spain. Wow. I think that's pretty. I don't know what any of the hidden talents are, but I think that one kind of surprises people.
That surprised me, but again, not surprising because athletic and that's crazy. Is there videos of that?
Yep.
I gotta check that out.
Yep, I could send you a few.
Yeah, that'd be great. Mitchie Brusco, thanks again for coming on Nick's Vancast. Good luck in the X Games.
Thank you.
I think this will come out a couple days before that, so we'll get people hyped up. Congratulations again, and good luck out there.
Of course, thank you for having me.